Hey, it's me, Saul, and welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video. Today, we are going to be ranking the best fusion cards in the game currently, entirely based on my own opinion. My word is law. I am the highest authority. This is not a democracy. I make the rules, and so therefore, you can't be mad about where I put your favorite card. That being said, these kinds of things are largely subjective. I'm just giving my opinions on these things, and so like the reasons why I might put a card higher or lower, well, I'll explain everything. So like, hear me out, right? And if you disagree, I don't care. Anyway, let's get started with Masked Hero Anki. Anki. This card, see, it doesn't go in B. I'm just gonna let me postulate to you. Is that the right word? Postulate? That sounds a lot like prostrate. Okay. Anyway, let me talk to you real quick. Masked Hero Anki It was a menace. It was such a menace. Okay, no. Okay, so when it comes to ranking the best fusion cards in the game, most fusion monsters are archetype specific, right? Because you don't just slap poly into every deck, so you can only really rank them as far as they helped their archetype and what they meant to their archetype and what they did within their archetype. And I remember the masked changed meta where Anki would just OTK you, because what's disgusting about this card is it can attack directly, or with the 2800 body, it can destroy a monster and then draw another mass change, and then you can mass change one Anki into a different Anki. I have PTSD. I feel like I want to put that in S just because like I remember that meta, even though currently it's definitely not all over the place. I have battle scars from that, right? Because like there wasn't much you could do to combat that. Oh, am I giving it too much respect for its past glory? It also has a pretty dope design. I'm gonna put you in A. I feel like A is a safe place for you. Blue Eyes Twinburst Dragon. Now, a lifetime ago, when I wasn't good at the game, I would put this card in S. And like, how do I put it? This card it has the potential to be terrifying because of the ultimate dragon skill that Blue Eyes have. Because this card is almost guaranteed to have the ability to come out, right? It's really good, can't be destroyed by battle. If you crash into something and it's not destroyed, you can banish it. So things that can't be destroyed by battle, like you get to deal with, right? Like problem monsters, you get to deal with. Things that you can't target, you get to deal with. That being said, Karma Cut. Just use Karma Cut, forehead. Like it's not unstoppable the way I used to think it was. That being said, it's a very useful card for Blue Eyes, and they don't even have to rely on the skill to use it. I think because yeah, you can just contact fuse. You can get two Blue Eyes on the field, and then just boom, it gets to come out of the extra deck without even using poly. Actually, nah, that's really good. That's really good. So I actually think I will put you in S. I think I will put you in S for the time being. I might bring you down based on the caliber of the other cards that end up in S tier. But like this is one of the harder tier lists to make. I'm gonna keep it $150 with you. Elemental Hero Brave Neos. Now, contrary to what popular opinion might lead you to believe, I don't think that the power of this card is this card. I think that the power of this card comes from the spell card, wait, hold on, what's it called again? Neos Fusion, right? Neos Fusion is a really good card that makes this card, it's so easy to bring it out of the deck, and then it's protected from destruction once, but not because of its own effect. Its own effect is literally just to boost its attack marginally, and then I think if it destroys a monster, you get to add like a Neos card from your deck to your hand, so maybe you could get yourself another Neos Fusion. But Neos is a brick, so some people will only run one copy of Neos, so that second Neos Fusion could potentially be dead. So like the power of this card really comes from another card. I don't even, no, I don't. In my mind, I've never used this card for anything other than to be a beat stick that's difficult to deal with. And the only reason it's good at doing that is because of Neos Fusion. It's not because of its own power or effect. I don't think this is, it hurts a little bit. Wow, when I say it out loud. Because I love Neos Fusion, but that's just it. I love Neos Fusion. This card, it could literally have been any other card that came with Neos Fusion, and it wouldn't make that much of a difference. This card is good because generic cards can be used to make it, which is really nice, but like that's all it has going for it. I might move you up later, but I'm gonna put you in C. I'm gonna put, this hurts a little bit. I don't think I have it in me. You have a lot of drip on your fit as well. Let's give him style points and move him up to B. Let's go. Buster Blader. Now, this buddy over here, I think also belongs in B, right? It's got a really, so if a Buster Blader deck is able to do what it does uninterrupted, this card's effect is disgusting, because if they DNA surgery the field and make it so that everything is a dragon, then this card will put everything into defense position, none of your opponent's monster effects can activate, and you're just good to like swing over them and deal piercing damage. Here's where it's a problem. If you don't get that DNA surgery out, or if your opponent deals with that DNA surgery, its effect goes from really good to like not even usable. Oh, it goes from really good to not even usable. Oh no. Because like you can't even attack directly, so you have to attack into your opponent's monsters, and it's only really having good effects on dragon type monsters specifically. So without that DNA surgery, I feel like it's a lot like Neos, whereby without the Neos fusion, that card isn't great, and without DNA surgery, this is just a decently big beat stick that can't attack directly. So like it can barely even serve as a beat stick at that. It's got no real protection, my guy. I'm sorry, C. You're a C tier. Invoked Caliga. I put this on the list as a stand-in for Cocytus because Cocytus is currently banned, but also because this card just seems highly underrated to me. That said, I'm still putting you in C, but like it's so highly underrated to me. Yeah, I'm such a hypocrite. But no, like thinking about it, this card has the ability to effectively make it so that your opponent can only activate one effect per turn with their monsters and everything. And I don't know why people don't use it more. Yeah, both you and your opponent can only activate one monster effect per turn. You can both only attack with one monster per turn. And I mean, you can get rid of Caliga on your next turn. It's just more so about like summon locking your opponent. One of my homies, iGalaxy, was like, oh yeah, what if you use this alongside something like what's that card called again? The Lava Golem, right? You Lava Golem your opponent, Lava Golem activates its effect, and then that's their effect for the turn just gone effectively. So you've done some damage. It would be great in a stall deck. I'm not encouraging that behavior, by the way. But I just think it has a degree of untapped potential that I would like to see in the future, but currently in terms of the usage that it's seen, I'm putting what it's done over the potential that it has, right? Like when you think Teen Gohan, it's like, wow, Gohan has like all this potential and everything just bottled up inside him. And then you see Super Gohan just letting down the whole team. Like, nah, you can't put the potential over what you actually do with said potential, so you go and see. Predaplant Chimera. Now, once per turn, you can target one card with a level less than this card's and banish it. Also, if you're battling with this card, you can make your opponent's monster lose 1,000 attack. And the standby phase after this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a polymerization from your deck to your hand. Actually, no, I just double checked. A poly or just any fusion spell card effectively. Predaplants don't really have a presence in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links currently, but I think that this card is pretty fire, so I wanted to put it on here. Whenever I see it on the field, I always treat it as a priority to deal with it. So like I would at the very least put you in B. Now we have another Chimera, but the one that's from Cyber Dragons, and I think this card is either a C or A. I feel like I like the way that it looks in A. It's so strong within its own archetype, but when you actually boil down what it does, it's as strong as it is because its archetype is so good, but also it does have a really good effect in that when it hits the field, you can destroy your opponent's spells and traps, so that's really, really good. They have to respond to you right when that happens. On top of that, you can send Cyber Dragon monsters to the graveyard and attack multiple times. Now, swinging multiple times isn't that insane, but then you have the trap card for their archetype, I think it's Overflow, that makes it so that you can destroy cards on the field by banishing cards from the graveyard. And also, it's super easy to bring this card out because of all of their fusion cards and the quick play effects and the means by which you're allowed to fuse into this card, making it super easy to bring out, plus the skill making it even easier. So I think it's heavily boosted by its archetype, right? Because just looking at what it does, it's very good. Don't get me wrong, it's very good, which is why I think I would put it in A tier, but I don't think I would put it in S tier. Right? Am I biased? Am I biased against this card? No, I think I like the card, just not enough to put it in S. All right, let's move on. Dark Cavalry is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated cards, right? Like, because think about it, its attack boost effect isn't really relevant, but when a card or effect activates that targets a card on the field, not just your cards, not just specifically monster cards, if a card on the field is targeted by an effect, you can negate the activation and destroy it. The problem is you have to, if it wasn't for that discard cost, I would put this card in A, but because of the discard cost, I think I put it in mid B, right? Because like it's really good. It's not even a once per turn negate, but like the decks that generally run this card aren't great at like gaining and maintaining card advantage. damage. So just chucking those cards and resources to the graveyard. I mean, and Dark Magician decks, generally speaking, want to have their monsters and spells and everything either in hand or on the field. There's only like maybe two or three cards that they would want to have in the graveyard situationally. So like, it's not really synergizing with that aspect of its archetype. So that's why I put it in B. If not for that discard cost, it would definitely be an A because that's a really good effect. But I don't know, the decks that it usually sees play in don't want to discard all of their cards, or they just don't have that many cards to discard anyway. But in negate on any targeted effect, really, really good. Dragon Necro. Now this card is a card that recently came onto my radar. I didn't actually know very much about it previously. Do I? See, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Dragon Necro. It's got a decent body. Some decks can make it. It's all good and fine. Now, if it swings into a monster, it doesn't destroy the monster. It reduces that monster's attack to 0. Then it summons a token to then, with some beefy attack, to then deal damage to that monster that wasn't destroyed. Now, that sounds really, really good on paper, but that's an exclusively battle phase effect, right? Like, that's all that it really does. So you can get some massive damage on the board, don't get me wrong, but like, what else are you doing outside of that? And also, because it summons a token, we've only got 3 monster zones, so that could lead to clogging later on. I don't know, I could be wrong about how that works, but I'm not the biggest fan of like exclusively battle phase effects. Like looking at Predaplant Chimera, like it has other effects outside of the battle phase. Like, yes, it boosts its attack by 1,000, but it also banishes cards, right? Brave Neos, I feel like it's on here because of how easy it is to get on the field and its ability to like gain other resources, like getting yourself another Neos fusion and like in Neos decks. I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to justify keeping Brave Neos up here. Oh, hold on. Do I actually think Brave Neos is better than this card? I think it's easier to get out. It's more splashable than this card, but like, is its effect better to me? I think I have to move Neos Fusion down. I think I have to move Neos Fusion down based on these new considerations. And that's not Neos, Brave Neos. I think Brave Neos has to come down based on these considerations, and that stings a little bit. But outside Neos Fusion, you're not that much better than the cards down here. I'm sorry, Chief. I'm sorry. Gaia, the magical dragon champion, or whatever the hell your name is. This card reinvigorated my spirit when it came to fusion summoning. I thought Gaia was going to be trash. I thought the Gaia split was going to be trash. But this card, I mean, okay, let me take a step back. I can be biased. This is my tier list, but let me take a step back, right? Because when it comes to this card, it's largely supported by its archetype, right? The Galloping Gaia field spell, making it super easy to get this card on the field. The means of fusing it, like using Curse of Dragonfire and everything. Like, it's very heavily supported by its archetype. Like Soldier being able to tribute over it after it uses its effect. But the ability to quick play destroy your opponent's like cards, any card on the field, is really, really nice. And then being able to double your attack, also really, really nice. But the reason why you're able to use it so safely and so confidently is because of the Galloping Gaia field spell that will allow you to boost your attack safely in the battle set because your opponent can't respond. They can't activate any of their effects. But I really, really like this card. I think this might be the first instance of just pure bias carrying a card all the way to the finish line, because this, I think, is genuinely my favorite fusion card in the game, and I'll be damned if that isn't an S tier card based on that reason alone. Be mad at me if you want, but this is where we are now. Next up is Gravekeeper Supernaturalist, and I've got to be honest with you, I'm not a very big fan of this card. Like, what this card does is, effectively, it makes it so that Necro Valley, if Necro Valley is on the field, neither Necro Valley or this card can be destroyed by card effects. And I mean, that's good protection for its archetype, I will be honest, but its other effect to search out the deck is only applicable in the end phase, and that's just not very good to me. And it doesn't stop you from being targeted in its entirety. I'm pretty sure it just means you can't be destroyed by card effects. Yeah, it can't be destroyed by card effects, so you can still Cosmic Cyclone, you can still destroy this by battle, you can still Karma Cut, you can still do all those things. So the one form of protection that it provides to me doesn't seem like it's enough. If it said that your opponent cannot target these cards with card effects instead of the destruction thing, that immediately it shoots up in value so significantly. But within its own archetype, and its archetype not being that prevalent, but it looks really cool is the thing. All of that being said, it does look really cool, but as the boss monster of an archetype, it just feels like it gets big and then prevents destruction, but like what else do you have? Like I feel nah, I want more. I want more from the boss. If you're gonna be the boss monster of an archetype, like I don't know. I think the question that I have to ask myself to make this fair is this card worse to me than Brave Neos and Dragon Necro and Buster Blader without its DNA surgery? And I think the answer is no, because inherent to itself, it can do a lot. It comes out very easily within its archetype. It's got some drip on its back shoulders. I think you go in B, but now C is, I'm so conflicted. Why is this the hardest tier list that we've done? Bro, I think this is just how it has to be, and it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. I think this is the only way for the tier list to make sense in my heart of hearts. And I don't like that Neos has to go out like this, but it's the only way to do things. I don't know how else to maintain my integrity. Let's move on. We have to move on. Lunalight Cat Dancer, easy A. The OTK that you can pull off using this card, disgusting. Multiple attacks, deals damage on each attack, cannot be destroyed by, this one is battle, right? Yeah, I think this one cannot be destroyed by battle. Like this, it is good. This card is very, very good in my opinion, and it just looks really, really, I promise I'm not a furry. I promise you I am not a furry, but like these, okay, hold on. Let's have an honest conversation right here. Let's have an honest conversation. Tell me to my face right now that the Lunalight cards aren't kind of bad. Like, I don't know what Konami was doing when they decided to make these animals this bad. I need to stop I need to stop talking. We're moving on. Lunalight Saber Dancer is S tier. I don't know what to tell you. Yo, tell me right now you didn't have a thing for Lola, but okay, you know what? Anyway, we're moving on. So Lunalight Saber Dancer cannot be targeted, and for me, cards that have that kind of power are just really, really good. And if I'm not mistaken, this card has a graveyard effect, doesn't it? Yeah, you can banish this card from the graveyard and make a monster gain 3,000 attack. So if your opponent does manage to get rid of this card, it's still useful even after being untargetable, which means that they have to deal with it in a very, very specific way, and it can get to massive levels in terms of attack. So like, even though they can destroy it by battle, they're probably not going to, is the thing. They have to use non-targeted destruction, and forcing your opponent to play around you like that, like you can win duels just off of bringing this card onto the field and your opponent not having anything in their deck that can respond to it. So I think that card is amazing, S tier. Now you may think that this is ridiculous, but Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate, whatever the hell your name is, I think it's a D tier. Like if your entire plan can be beaten by enemy controller right? Because what this card wants to do is it has a massive body, 4,500 attack, and it can swing multiple times per turn by sending cards from the extra deck to the graveyard. And there's a lot of restrictions. I mean, for one, you have to use 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons to bring this out, so that's a hefty cost already. And then 2, you cannot control any other monsters in order to use that effect. Is it any other monsters? I'm pretty sure it's any other monsters. But in any event, just having a restriction like that on top of having a cost of 3 monsters, that's already pretty hefty in my opinion. And then all my opponent has to do is use enemy controller, and all of a sudden, this is just a regular beat stick with no other protection on my opponent's turn. Like, I can count on one hand the number of times I've seen a Blue Eyes player bring this card out and actually win with it, right? Because I've seen people, every now and then it comes out. People don't always bring it up, but every now and then I see it come out. And it's just, if you're not ready to deal with it, it can be problematic, but it's just a big beat stick that swings a couple times, and that's all it does. Like, bro, Econ can't beat you. You can't be the ultimate dragon and get beaten by Sphere Karibo, my guy. Like, I'm sorry, like, it's just that it has a really big, I feel like I'm being biased, but it's my tier list, so I'm allowed to be. We're moving on. This is probably one of the most evenly stacked tier lists that we've done. Like, S is looking, like everything is roughly on the same rate except D tier, which is probably a good thing. Up next, we have Ojama King, by the way. I put Ojama King on the list. I just like him. I just look at him. He's beautiful. He's beautiful. Look at, oh my days. Anyway, the ability to lock out 3 of your opponent's monster zones just like on turn 1 is not only hilarious, but like that's actually not a bad thing. That's not a bad effect. The real question is, will you actually be able to get Ojama King out turn 1? Because if your opponent has a monster in their monster zones, it can't lock that zone. So that means you have to do it as quickly as you can, and Ojamas are not good. Ojamas are not good in Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling, so that's probably not going to happen, which is why I'm willing to put it in D tier. I just wanted to put it on the list because, like, it's Ojama King, bro. Let me live. Invoked Purgatrio. I have a lot of respect for this card. I have a lot of respect for this card as a Bujin player, right? Because Invoked Purgatrio and Bujin Susano basically have the same effect where they can attack every single monster your opponent controls. So while I've never really played an Invoked deck full on, I have experienced the power you wield in your hand, just being able to swing infinitely. Your opponent can try and float into whatever they want and you just keep on swinging. And Purgatrio, it does piercing damage and it gets an attack boost just naturally off the rip. Plus with Alistair in your hand, you can boost this attack even further. I think that that's an excellent card. Do I think it's S or A tier? My problem with it is I've already said it during this video. Its effect is purely based on battle. So if your opponent like gets rid of it or Book of Moons it or just makes it so that it can't attack, then it's not really doing a crazy amount for you. But like just based on what it has the potential to do in that instance, I am willing to give it an A tier because like it can be a problem. Like if your opponent has a full field of monsters, this one card will board wipe them. They can try and float into whatever they want. I don't need to explain myself to you. We're moving on. Quintet Magician. Now, I know a lot of people say that this card is a meme. But the ability, again, to wipe your opponent's entire field, I get it. It takes 5 monsters to bring out with different names, but the archetypes that can do it pretty damn well, I'll be honest with you, right? Like using Magicalized Fusion, getting this card out, as a boss monster, it does the damn thing. Like, I'll keep it $150. I think it's better than this card. I think it's better than this card. And I think it's better than this card, right? Like, it does the damn thing as a boss monster. It's just kind of tough to get out, but like, it can't be destroyed by card effects. Bro, it's actually really freaking good. Can it even be targeted? Hold on, let me double check this. Okay, no, it can. It can be targeted, so it stays in B, right? It just can't be destroyed by card effects. But that alone is really, really good. You can wipe an entire field, bro. An entire field, my guy. I can see why people use it a lot on the ladder, because that's just a free OTK at 4,500 attack. Imagine, so Neo Blue Eyes and this card have the same attack, and compare their 2 effects. Get out of here, my guy. Get out of here. Nah, we're moving on. RedEyes / Dragon, baby's first fusion monster. That's what I'm gonna call you. It was my first fusion monster, I'll be honest with you. It was my first real introduction into like having, how do I put it? Obviously, I didn't use it in a RedEyes deck because as a new player, I kind of just like slapped things together that I thought made sense. And they push the RedEyes box at you so hard when you start the game. And so I had this card. And I find it really cool. It's a really cool design, and it's got a really I don't know if I would say really decent effect, because like when it attacks, its effect activates, which means it's a battle phase effect, but it's a really good effect in that you're equipping monsters from your graveyard, and while it has something equipped to it, if it gets targeted, if one of your cards gets targeted, it's a negate and a destroy, right? And on top of that, you do not have to, well, you don't have to wait till your battle phase, because you can just equip an equip spell to it yourself, and boom, it has its effect right off the rip. Now, again, it doesn't have its effect naturally just by hitting the field, so if your opponent targets it before it gets an equip card, then it's not gonna do anything crazy, which is why I wouldn't put it higher than B. But like that, just for where it's been and what it is, I like it. Now, I'm gonna keep it $150 with you. I don't know what this card does. I barely know its name. I think its name is Ryhon. It's a 6 samurai card. I've never summoned this card a day in my life, but it is one of the coolest, and I mean the coolest designs of any card anywhere, bro. This card is beautiful. This card, I do, do I love you? I might, bro. The sauce on this man's fit, is immaculate, my guy. You could not put him on a tier list like this. Well, maybe you could, I couldn't. You and me are built different. You're beautiful to me. We're moving on. Sky Galloping Gaia. Ooh, do I want to put you in B? I feel like I would put you in B because of the use that I've put you to in the Gaia archetype, because this card is really nice because you can add Spiral Spear. I don't know what happened to my throat just now, but you can add a Spiral Spear Strike from your deck to your hand, which is really good searching potential. You activate that card and it does piercing damage, and when it attacks, it has the ability to turn your opponent's monster to defense position. And so because it has the ability to search out Spiral Spear Strike, I wouldn't necessarily separate the effect of Spiral Spear Strike from its own effect. So Spiral Spear Strike would then let you draw 2 cards and discard 1. And because this card has searched it out for you, you're almost definitely going to have it and be able to use it. So that's really good. So it's piercing damage, it's giving you draw potential, but it's largely battle phase focused, which is why I definitely wouldn't put it higher than this. But I do like the card. Vision Hero Trinity, if you are not ready for it, I feel like so looking at A tier, right? It's largely comprised of monsters who, if you're not ready to deal with them, can just OTK you, right? Anki can do it, Chimera Tech will do it, Cat Dancer will do it, and Purgatrio, is it Purgatrio or Purgatrio? Anyway, it'll do it, right? And that's the same thing with Trinity, right? It's just painful. And I don't want to tell you how many times that's happened to me because it's embarrassing, right? Because it can just swing with 5,000 attack multiple times, and that's a lot of attack to deal with. So like, let's say you've gone first, you can very legitimately get OTK'd by this card. Also, it reminds me of a Megazord or a Voltron robot, and that in and of itself is enough to give you points. So I'm gonna put that in A tier. And the last card I want to consider is kind of a stand-in for like all the Ritual Beasts, Ultia Pelio. This card, I think, ooh, do you go in A or B? I kind of want to put it in B because like it's not enough to kill your opponent on its own with what it does, but its ability to just jump off the field whenever it wants to is astounding, and being unaffected by cards during the battle phase also astounding. So like it's almost impossible to deal, it's almost impossible, well not impossible, but it's very difficult to deal with this card, right? Because it's just gonna jump off the field before you can do anything, before you have a chance to actually target it. It jumps off the field and then it can just come right back, right? Because your opponent just needs 2 monsters on the field, boom, bing, bang, like they're just jumping in and out of the extra deck. It's an annoying card, and let's say you try and target it before the battle phase, before the battle step, they'll just jump off the field and they'll be unaffected during the battle step. So like I don't really know what to tell you. I think it's a really, really, really good card in my opinion, and just based on how I feel about it, I think I would put it in mid A. So yeah, those are all the fusion monsters ranked, or at least the ones I think are worth mentioning. This was probably the most chaotic tier list that I've done so far. Like I didn't expect it to be that controversial within myself. I mean, I'm expecting at least 5 of you to actively hate everything that I've done here today, but I didn't expect it to be, I didn't expect to have so many tough decisions amongst my inner heart, right? So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've been entertained by just everything that I happen to be. Have a wonderful day and goodbye.